We are going to build end-to-end analytics projects using AI tools in supply chain domain. In terms of tech stack, we will use N8N, which is an AI workflow automation tool to pull data from Excel files, and it will ingest the data into PostgreSQL database. Then we will use another AI tool called Quadratic, which is an AI-powered spreadsheet that will pull data from PostgreSQL database, and will show you how you can perform analytics using some prompts in this Quadratic tool. This project will teach you important supply chain domain concepts, as well as it will teach you how you can build projects using the modern AI tool mindset. This project is not only perfect for your learning, but it is something you can add in your resume as well as your project portfolio. Let's begin with some interesting storyline. Atlic Mart is a Gujarat-based organic food manufacturer. They specialize only in few products but disrupted the market in the two cities they operate. In an interesting move, they opened their third city of operation in New Jersey, America, and started performing well there as well. Though they handle very less products, their supply chain is immature. Bruce Hariali, the chief operating officer of Atlic Mart, has noticed that some of their supermarket customers are dissatisfied with their order management, and he wanted to fix this before scaling further. Bruce discussed this with Tony Sharma, the head of analytics at Atlic Mart, and understood the problem is a classic supply chain issue where they are not able to maintain an optimum inventory. Tony offered to create a quick insights report using Excel or Power BI, but Bruce insisted that he needs something AI powered as a solution because, like any other senior leaders in the world, Bruce does not want to miss out on the AI hype. Tony assigned this work to Peter Pandey, who is a curious data guy in the team exploring all the AI tools in the market. Peter, who always thrives to drive the extra mile, found Quadratic, which is an AI-powered spreadsheet that even offers connection to their database in PostgreDB. He even figured out an automation using N8N to migrate the data directly from emails to Postgre. So you will be solving the supply chain problem along with Bruce, Tony, and Peter using Quadratic, the AI-powered spreadsheet, N8N to automate the data migration and learn important supply chain domain experts. Let's get started, folks. Let us discuss the technical architecture for this project. We will get our data through email. You will get these kind of emails which will have files attached to it. I have two emails, one for India sales, one for USA sales. And when I open this email, I will see this kind of CSV file where this file contains aggregate data. You can see order ID, customer ID, order placement date, and few other fields. The second file contains the order line items. So order ID, order placement ID, and there are some detailed fields like the product ID, the order quantity, and so on. So all of these data is coming via email in your inbox. And by the way, we are going to provide you these files. So what you can do is you can take these files and you can send it to your own email, and you can configure your automation workflow to monitor that email. So let's talk about the architecture. So here are the emails that you're getting, and they have this spreadsheet attached to it. And then you are using, let me just draw one more block here. So you are using this tool, N8N, for the automation. Okay. And this tool is basically an AI agentic automation tool, and it is monitoring these emails. So you can configure it to monitor your email inbox. You can provide the labels, the subject line, you can provide all that filtering, okay? And as a next step, what you're doing is you are ingesting the data into your Postgres. So here will come your Postgres database, okay? So this is your Postgres database. And then you are attaching the Quadratic AI. So let's say I have my Quadratic tool. It is your AI spreadsheets. So you are pulling data from Postgres into Quadratic, and here you are doing your analysis. Your prompt-based AI analysis is being done in the Quadratic. So this will be your architecture. Just to summarize, emails are coming to specific inbox, and this is what happens in the industry, where some vendors, or let's say some team member, will be sending all these Excel files via email in specific email ID and inbox. And you can configure your N8N to monitor that inbox. In N8N, you will do all the processing. We'll look into that in detail. And then data goes into Postgres. And from Postgres, you pull the data into Quadratic to do your analysis. So I'm assuming that using the link in the video description below, you have received all these files and you have sent 2 emails, one containing data for US, the other containing data for India, into your personal inbox or whatever email ID that you want to use for this project. Okay, and now we are going to set up N8N. In case if you have not used this before, this is an AI agentic workflow automation tool which is getting very popular nowadays. Go to n8n.io, sign in using whatever credentials. I have already signed in, and you will get 14 days free trial. So I'm on the home page. So here, when you come for the first time, you will see little different UI. I mean, all these things will still be there. So you're going to create a workflow here. And in that workflow, you will add a first step. And this first step is to monitor your Gmail. So you click on Gmail, on message received. So here, whenever you receive a message into your Gmail account, you want to trigger this automation workflow. These workflows can be triggered via different means. In our case, it is triggered whenever a new email comes to our Gmail account. Now here I have already added my authentication, but essentially what you can do is create new credential and here sign in with Google. So you will say sign in with Google, you will provide all the credentials. It is pretty common sense, folks. You should know how to do it, okay? And if you don't, just take help of ChatGPT. So you will log into your Gmail credentials, and after you have logged in, you will get this thing, okay, Gmail account. So I have configured that particular email ID, right? This particular email ID, I have already configured it. And then here, I'm saying monitor this Gmail for every minute for incoming emails. And here, just uncheck this because we will need this option. And in add filter, you will say labels, okay, label names or IDs. And I want to use my inbox. So I'm monitoring my inbox essentially. Then search. So in the subject, you will say, okay, what is the subject look like? So in the subject, you will say daily sales. So all these emails will have specific subjects. So you have to identify that pattern. So I'm saying that if my subject contains daily sales, okay. So I will say subject contain daily space sales, then look at that subject. And in the options, you will say access the attachments, okay. So once again, uncheck this simplify, only then you will see this particular options. Now I can say fetch test event, and see it is able to fetch that particular file. So if you look at this particular email, what it did is it went to this particular inbox and it pulled this particular email. Okay, so you have two attachments, okay, 4.8 KB, 20 KB, and when you look at it, 4.9, 21, right? So almost same. So fact aggregate India. So this is the email for India. So it pulled the most latest email here. So this is looking good. In case if you want to view the file, you can click on view and you should be good to go. Click on back to canvas button. So this thing is good. The next step here is to extract the data. So we will say extract from file. So now we are pulling those files, but we need to extract data in a JSON format. Okay, so we'll say extract from CSV, and here you will provide this field. So you are saying that we have two attachments. One is aggregate data, one is detailed order line data. So we want to first process this particular file, which is your aggregate file. And here, if you click on JSON, you see this. If you look at JSON, it is mapping this 128 items and it is pulling all these fields. All right, so this part looks good. Now, if you just say test step, it will actually show you these. Okay, so this you will be able to see when you click on test step. So that's it, I think. So essentially, you are converting your CSV data into JSON format through this step. The next step then is to get this data and ingest it into Postgres. Okay, so here, click on Postgres and insert rows in table. So now you need to connect it to your Postgres account. I have already connected it with my Postgres account, but for you will click on create new credentials and it will ask you for all these details. Now you need to use Supabase. Okay, so supabase.com, go to that website and create your login. You can create your free login. So I am already logged into this account. Supabase is a way to host your Postgres database on cloud. See, you can run Postgres database on local machine, but this allows you to run it on a cloud. And Postgres, just in case if you don't know, is a relational database that also provides NoSQL capabilities. But here we are essentially using it as a relational database only. So create an account using, I think, Gmail or whatever. Again, pretty common sense thing that we are doing here. And you will have some organization, etc. So create an organization if you have not created already. And when you go here, you need to create a project. And by the way, we are going to provide all the steps related to this in a PDF file. So once again, check video description. You will get a link through which you will be able to download all these files. And one of the files will be to set up your Postgres on Supabase. Okay, so please follow those files. We have given everything in detail. I have already set up my database because I don't want to waste time, and I don't want to make it like a very long tutorial. So I already set up my database, and my database looks like this. Once again, these steps are provided in the video description, so check it out. Okay, so these are the tables that I created, and as you can see, I have 2 fact tables and 3 dimension tables. Just in case if you don't know about fact and dimension table, I have a video on YouTube. This one, star schema video, you can watch it. But essentially, fact table contains your transactions, whereas dim table contains your dimensions, such as customers. You know, the information that doesn't change too often, customers, products, and all that. But fact is more like a transactional data. You see, it kind of changes. And if you look at the data here, we have a data till 5/16. You know, you can sort descending, and we have data till 16 May, right? Sort ascending. Let me see. So order placement date, sort descending, 5/16. Okay. So I'm assuming you have followed all the instructions from that PDF file that we are attaching, and your database is ready. Now to get the connection string, you will go here. Okay. and you will look into your session puller, and you will use all this information, host, port, etc., and you will enter that information here. So for example, my host will be, you copy from here, and you know, this is my host, my database is Postgres, my user is this one, so you will put user here. You will use the same password that you use to log in into Supabase. Okay, so let's say you have put the password, port is 5432, and that's it. And when you set save, it will create a connection to your Postgres database. I have already created it, so I'm not creating it again. And once you have created it, you will see this option, you know, Postgres account. So I'm just clicking that. And this is the insert operation. And you want to insert data to your fact orders table. See, we are looking at the first attachment. Okay, so our first attachment is this fact aggregate table. We are ingesting this data into fact orders aggregate. And here you need to do this mapping. Okay, so order ID goes to order ID, customer ID goes here, order placement date goes here, and here I want to format this date differently. So here it is month, year, and actually date, month, and year. But what I want to do here is I want to say convert it to date time. When I was doing this to date time initially, I was getting an error. See, if you do just the to date time, you get error that you cannot convert to Luxon date time. So the format for the date that we have in our email, so let's look at that. So here the format is DDMM and then year. And looks like that Luxon, I think it's a JavaScript library, is not able to understand that. So we need to tell it, okay, what format is this? And if you look at the documentation of this, see, if you look at, I think to date time, yeah, here in the bracket you can specify the format. So they have this documentation which says you can specify this particular format where you can say DDMMYYY. So I'm going to use this and I'm going to specify that format. After that, it is parsing that this particular date into datetime object, and then you are saying format. So I want to essentially convert this into this format where you have year first, then month. This is like ISO standard format. So that way, you know, the ingestion into Postgres is smoother. Okay, so sometimes you have to do all this date conversion, format conversion, etc. into your this mapping that you are creating in N8N. And I already map on time, in full, OTIF, and so on. Okay, so test the step. After testing the step, when I go to my Postgres database, I will see data for 17th May. See, 17th May. Previously, it wasn't there. I had it till 16. So through this step, it inserted that data from that file. Okay, so now what I can do is I can go back. I think this mapping looks good to me. I will just copy this because I might need this into the when I'm doing the mapping for the other file. Okay, so this one, this flow is good enough. Now we will need to map the other file. So here, this one I will rename and I will say extract from file aggregate. Okay, and you need to now create another flow for the second file. Remember, we have two files. So the second file is your order line items. So here you will specify your second file here. Okay, and the test tab, so it is pulling the data from the second file. See, you can see all these fields. Go back to canvas and here add your Postgres. Same folks, you are just repeating the same steps here. And Here you are specifying your order line item table, and then just see, map these fields. And for order placement date, you will do the same thing, to date time, and in this to date time, you will specify this particular format. Okay, so let me just copy paste. This is the format I am using, and then I'm formatting it to this format, ISO format, YYYY MMDD. Okay, then customer ID. So make sure you're mapping all these fields accurately. I mean, sometimes people might drop one field into another. So if you make that mistake, of course, it's not going to be good. So just map it. As you can see, all the fields are mapped. The only format conversion is happening with order placement date. Other fields are okay. And I will click on test step here. Input invalid for agreed delivery date. So looks like we will just use the same format for these dates, because see, it had a date 35/2025, so maybe it got it wrong over there. So we are converting it to standard DDMMYY format first, and then converting it to our standard ISO format. So let's do it for all the dates. Okay, do we have any other dates? So on time is good. Okay, dates are being taken care of. Okay, let's test the step now. I was getting all those errors because there was some format error with my Excel file, and I have fixed those. Okay, so if I pull my files here, CSV files, then these date formats were previously inconsistent. So I was getting it. You will not get these errors because I have fixed those issues. Okay, so if you're using these new files, which we are going to attach down below, you're not going to get those errors. So now, but I think it's still a good idea to convert it to standard ISO format. Okay, and then do the format conversion to whatever format you need. So we are going to do it for all the dates here. And once you are ready, you can test this particular step. So let's test this. All right, it executed it fine. If you go to your database and if you look at your order line items, see, it is still refreshing. Right now it's showing 16. Now it changed. You see, it changed. So it inserted all the records from 17th May. But I previously deleted the records from aggregate as well. Okay, so I still don't have aggregate record because I was fixing those errors. So you don't have to run these steps, but I'm going to just execute this one so that I see the 17th data in both of it. Okay, so here, so essentially you want to go to a stage where you see the data for 17th for both fact order online and fact orders aggregate. Now, just in case if you're facing errors and if you're running it again and again, and if you want to delete the data, you can use this query. You can, if you want to delete the data, let's say there is some problem, you can use this query. You can say delete from fact order line where order placement date greater than this. So that way you are deleting the 17th May data. You need to do it for both the tables. Okay, so one for fact order online and the other one for aggregate table. So let me do it so that you know. So let me delete these records. Okay, so delete all the records for aggregate table first. So these records are deleted, and then delete it for the other table. Which other table we have? Order online, right? So see, I deleted these records, and when I go to Postgres, the table view, so it is refreshing. You see down below, it is still refreshing. But when it is refreshed, you see data only till 16. Same here. You need to have sorting, by the way. Okay, don't forget that. That's see, it's still refreshing. So let me just, 16. See, and it is sorted based on descending order. So to ingest the data now, I will run the entire workflow. So after deleting it, when I go here and when I say taste workflow, it will taste both the workflows. See, first that first file, second one is second file. And when I come here now and refresh, I should see data for 17th. See, 17th May. Same for the second table. When I refresh, I will see data for 17th May. Alright, our data ingestion part is over now. One additional thing I will do is also ingest the file for USA. Remember, so far we ingested data only for India. You are given all these files, so you will find 2 files for USA, and I'm going to compose an email. I'll just send it to myself and just say daily sales USA 17th May, and I will just attach these files. So attach both the files for USA and send it. So when you send it, see, I see the email here, but my workflow has not triggered yet because it is inactive. You see, the workflow, I gave it a name, Postgres data ingestion. It is still inactive. If it was active, it will be monitoring my email and it will be sending it, but you can kick it off manually as well. So I'll click on taste workflow and see, here it inserted 57 items and here 109 items. So let's verify if that is correct. So USA aggregate data, see 57 items, because there is a header. So 57 items total. So that is correct. And then order line for USA is 109. There is a header. So 109 rows in total, 109. So it inserted that data. And here, I think here, even if you refresh, it will still show 17. So you have to look into the order ID and stuff like that. But let's see order line as well. So both of these tables are updated with USA data. Let's now analyze this data in Quadratic. QuadraticHQ.com is a website you will go. Here, you can chat with your data and get insights all using AI. Click on Open Quadratic. So you will come here. You're going to get some free credits, by the way. So don't worry, you will have enough credits to run this project. And then here, you will click on New File. Then let's connect this to Postgres. So here, just click on Postgres, okay? And connection name, you can say anything, right? Like @, mart, and then provide that same host name. You see, like when we were here in the session puller, you need to provide this host, port, database user, or whatever, right? All these credentials you can provide here. Password will be the password for your Supabase. And once all of that is done, you will see this kind of entry, Postgres entry. So you click on it and you will see this connection. See, it is pulling all these tables here, dim customers, etc. You can also write queries, by the way. You can write select queries to fetch this data. So let's pull all this data for dim and fact tables in our Quadratic spreadsheet. So the first one is going to be dim customers. So let me name this sheet dim customers. And then you can click on this dim customer here, query selected table, and see, it will pull all that data. Isn't this cool? So we have only 37 customers and it is running this query with a limit. Ideally, you should run this query without limit, but in our case, it's okay because the number of rows are 37. They are less than 100 anyway. Then you will create the second one, which is dim products, and check dim products, query select table, okay, and run it. Right now, I think there is some kind of issue due to which I'm not able to do it. So what I usually do is, and we have passed this feedback to Quadratic team, they will fix it, okay? It's just a temporary thing. But just in case if you are facing this problem, click on this database icon once again click here, then come here, then click on query, and it will pull the data. Third one is dim target orders, and once again click here, click on this, query selected table. Now here I have only 20 records, so I'm good. Then fact order online, fact okay. In dim target orders, I think I made a mistake. I'm just saying this one. Actually, I should be pulling data from a different table. So let me just delete this and dim target orders, right? So dim target order should be this. Query, okay, query is not working. So let me just go here. Again, say query. And here only 37. So I'm good. The next one is fact order line. Okay, fact order lines, which is this table. And for that particular table, once again, connect to Postgres and select that fact order line and query. Now when I query, I will pull only 100 records, but there are more actually. So what you should do is remove this limit clause and execute the query without limit so that you can pull all the orders. See how many orders do I have? See, you have so many orders. Okay, it's definitely more than 100. So you're going to pull that, and same way set up fact orders aggregate. See, so I got these many records. So make sure you are running your queries without the limit clause. And I realized that even dim customer table was also mapped incorrectly. Maybe I selected the wrong one. So for dim customer, make sure you are selecting the right table. Okay, that's very important. Okay, so see, you are in dim customer sheet, dim customer query, and that's it, right? You can move the table here. So we are all set. Whenever you are doing this kind of analysis, you almost always need a date table. A table which has the required dates with extra columns for months, year, etc. If you have worked as a data analyst, you will know the importance of this dim date table. Okay, so I'm going to create this dim date table. And the good news is that with AI, you can just type a prompt here and create that table with all the required prompts. Okay, so that is very easy. So I'm going to copy paste this prompt for creating the date table, and make sure when you are running this prompt, you have this as a active sheet. Let's say if you select this, then you see it will insert a table in that sheet. You don't want that. Okay, so click here. So that way you see dim date, that is your active sheet where you're working. This is your cursor location, and you are saying that create a date table that has dates from this March 1st to March 31st. And when you do this, it will use AI to first write Python code, and it will then execute that Python code. And you can see the output. See, date table, it's so awesome. So you have dates from 1st March to whatever, and you have separate columns for year, month, day. All of these are useful when we will do the analysis later on. You can also see the code. So if you click on this icon, you can see the code. And if you know Python coding, if you want to, let's say, change certain things, you can modify the code manually, or you can chat here that, okay, do this particular change at this line, or change the format of this column, and so on. The next step for our analysis will be to create the exchange rates sheet. Okay, so I'm going to create exchange rates sheet, and this sheet will contain the exchange rate conversion between USD and INR. Okay, and that conversion is required because later on we need this for performing our analysis. See, if you want to say, okay, what are my sales number in USD and what are my sales number in INR, then you need some kind of conversion, right? Because our business is in both the location, India and US. And you notice that we have sales number coming in for both the countries. In our product table also, see, we have INR and USD price. So, this conversion, the exchange rate table that we have, it can be useful. Now, how do you get the exchange rates? Well, we are going to use this website called openexchangerates.org to get the actual conversion rate. Okay, we are not going to use some dummy one. So you create an account using your Gmail or whatever way you want to create account, up to you. And when you go to your dashboard, you will create this app ID. Okay, so you will create this app ID, which is sort of like an API key, and you will use this in that Quadratic. Okay, so make sure you have the app ID copied somewhere. So you copy it, and then you are going to use a prompt. So once again, the prompt that we have given you, this is the prompt. See, create an exchange rate table from this date to that date and use this open exchange rate API. Okay, so you're telling that your LLM to kind of create a code for it. So let me just copy paste here, and make sure once again exchange rate is the active sheet. I will supply here. By the way, this app ID, you see this app ID here in the prompt. You will use your own app ID. Okay, this app ID we are going to delete, so it will not be valid, so it will not work. So replace this app ID with your app ID that you have created on openexchangerates.org. And after that, you will write, you will give this prompt. It will generate a Python code. So let's look at the Python code here. You see, this is the Python code that it has written, and it is executing it right now. All right, how cool is this? I see the exchange rate table. This is USD to INR rate, okay? And if you want to make any changes in Python code, feel free. I know Python coding, so I can make a change such as the exchange rate. I need it only till 4 decimal precision, okay? So I can change the code manually. But let's say if you don't know Python coding, you can ask here that I want the exchange rate to be in 4 decimal precision, and it will update that code and it will rerun it again. I still believe having coding skills is useful, because sometimes you give this prompt and let's say, see, it made some code changes. Okay, see, it is rounding it to 4 decimal. I am accepting, but I know coding. That's why I can say, okay, it's a correct change. If you don't know coding at all, sometimes, you might get bad result. So I believe having coding skills can still help you, although we are doing automated coding through this AI. But anyways, this will rerun it again and you will see the new result. Okay, you see, these numbers are in now 4 decimal precision. So exchange rate table is created. It's looking good. Now let's move on to the next step, which is doing data cleaning and summarizing required data in one table. We are going to provide you this document, so you'll be able to copy paste this entire prompt, which is marked in yellow. So let me copy paste this entire prompt here, and we will run this prompt in a new sheet. We'll call it fact summary. So in fact summary, let's run this prompt. Okay, and when you run this prompt, after some time, it will create this particular merge table. Now, what exactly was this prompt? So if you have done data analysis, you know that you need to merge all this dim and fact table into one denormalized table, which contains all the columns. Okay, so we are saying that load data from fact table, this dim table, exchange rate table, and then clean the data. Okay, so you're cleaning converting product ID and customer ID to numeric because they were string, then removing white spaces, because usually in the real life data sets you will find all these white spaces, null IDs. You're converting IDs to integers, dates to date time. So if you have worked in data analysis, these are the typical steps that you follow. Okay, like cleaning data, then merging the table, and then you will say, okay, merge these tables using this column, okay, product ID column, customer ID column, and so on. Then you will also calculate the total amount. See, you are doing the currency. Remember, we did that currency conversion, USD to INR rate, whatever. So you are doing that conversion, and then you are producing this final output, and you will see this kind of table at the end. All right, you can do some testing. You can look at some couple of rows and make sure your data is correct. But the way I'm seeing it right now is we have one merged table. Not only merged table, but we have done cleaning as well. And in the code that was generated, if you look at it, see, it is using data frame and it is doing some internal cleaning. You see, if you know pandas and Python, see, it is doing conversion to date time, then it is merging, it is creating some calculated columns, and finally it is creating this final fact summary sheet. All right, we will now begin our data analysis session. Here with me, I have Hemanand Vadivel, who has worked as a data analytics manager in Europe for more than 7 years, working on multiple large-scale data analytics projects. He's also a supply chain domain expert. So the goal here is to teach you not only data analytics using AI, but also teach you important supply chain concepts. Over to you, Hemanand.
Thank you, Dhaval. That's very exciting to be here to work on a supply chain project. And I have seen the data that we have created from Quadratic, and we have pulled the data from Supabase Postgre. And the next step is to create supply chain KPIs, correct?
Yes.
So before we create the KPIs, as a data analyst, the first thing to do is to validate the data that we got on this Quadratic spreadsheet with what we got in the Supabase. So let's do that step first. So I'm opening this sheet. Okay. I'm going to this dim customers table. So here we have 37, which means 35 rows, because the first 2 rows are headers. And let me go to the Supabase Postgre database. So here we have 35. That's exactly matching. So we are good. And then we do the same thing for products. We have 18 here. We have 18 here as well. That's good. And then we have targets, target orders. We have 35 here and 35 here as well. That's also good. So now let's go to the fact order line. So in here, the sheet, we have around 23,554 and we have 25,538. Okay, that's not matching. So with respect to orders aggregate, we have 13,652 here. In the database that we have got, we have 13,314. That's not matching as well. And if you see further, okay, it's having this 13,652 rows. It's present there. It's simply showing it as null. So I investigated further with this. It seems there is some intermittent delay in fetching the data. I've reported this to the Quadratic team. They are working on it. But I think we should consider this as the actual data, whatever we see in this table as the actual data, and proceed further with our analysis. But folks, when you're watching this, please know that there is this gap.
And the idea of this video is to teach you this evolving data analytics tools through AI. So you want to understand this AI mindset of doing data analytics. So even if there is some issue with data, it's okay. These are intermittent issues which will get fixed. The purpose is to learn and evolve along with these tools.
All right, let's begin looking into the KPIs. Okay, these are the 7 KPIs we are going to create. You could see this on the screen. And I tried something very interesting with Quadratic. I just simply pasted these KPIs there in the sheet without even explaining how to calculate them. So if it has to calculate it correctly, it has to go to the internet, understand these metrics, and then create the results. Let's see if that works. I've copied this prompt. So all these prompts will be given to people so they can replicate the same. And I went to the Quadratic sheet. Then I just simply pasted this prompt. So I'm going to create a new sheet for this. I'm going to call it like KPIs. Okay, let's see if that works. It's very interesting, right? It fetched all these results, but how do you know if this is correct? You need to know two things for this. First, you need to know the data analysis, because you can open this Python code and check really if this code is making sense or not. Even if this code is making sense, you need to have some domain knowledge to understand if the calculation is right or not.
Yeah, so can you explain what these KPIs are? And can you increase the font size so that I can see better? And then you explain what exactly is the meaning of these KPIs.
I'm going to explain this with a very simple example so that everyone can understand. And having this kind of domain knowledge is very important, especially if you're targeting your career in operations and supply chain. So I've created this very simple table. Just imagine you made an order in Amazon, right? You made it on 19th of May, and you made the first order. So it is called as order number 1. And you ordered keyboards. And you ordered 5 keyboards, right? The next day, you made an order, but this time you ordered 2 items, which are keyboards and mouse. So now tell me, based on this table, how many orders are there?
There are 2 orders, right? Order 1 and 2.
Yes. There are only 2 orders. On first day, you made only 1 order. The second day also, you made only 1 order. So there are 2 orders, right? So that's 2. And how many lines are there?
3.
If you think about it, 3. Yes. So that's exactly the difference between orders and order lines. Order lines will always be more. Orders are nothing but whenever you place an order, it will create an order ID, and that's an order. In each of this order, you might be placing multiple items. So those will create order lines. Okay. So now let's understand what is line fill rate and volume fill rate. Okay. So we clearly understood what is order and order lines. Now with the same table, let's just expand it. Right? This is the quantity ordered, and this is the quantity delivered. So now tell me, is this order delivered in full or not?
Yes, because I ordered 5 and it was delivered 5.
Yeah. So instead of writing yes, let's do binary. Let's write 1. If the order is delivered in full, let's write 1. If not, let's write 0. Okay. And tell me for the second line.
No.
Is this delivered in full or not?
No.
It will be 0. And for the third line?
1.
This is exactly how it is written in a typical supply chain table as well. Okay. So we have total 3 lines, right? Line 1, line 2, line 3. Out of these 3 lines, how many lines we delivered successfully?
2.
2. Okay. Because 1 and 2, there are 2. And so what will be the line fill rate now? Can you make a guess?
It is 2 by 3.
Exactly. So this is line fill rate percentage. It is 2 by 3 because you have to find a ratio of total lines you delivered, which is 2, divided by total lines ordered, which is 3. So your line fill rate is 66.67%. So now when it comes to volume fill rate, let me make it. Can you make a guess what could be a volume fill rate?
For volume, you have to take into account the quantity.
Exactly. So here, let's take a sum. So what is the sum of quantity ordered? Right, it's 20. And what is the sum of quantity delivered? It's 17. So the volume fill rate is nothing but the ratio of quantity delivered to the quantity ordered. So you just take this number and divide it by this number. So it's 85%. So that's the volume fill rate. And in supply chain, line fill rate and volume fill rate is a very important metric for supply planners and supply managers and production managers, because for them, it's very important to know how many lines were ordered and how much they managed to deliver. So this is how their performance is evaluated. And this volume fill rate is also very important for salespeople. It's important for supply people, but also very important for salespeople. When they're having a negotiation or some kind of discussion with the customers, they will say, hey, last year you ordered 10 million quantities. We delivered 9.98 million. So we made we almost fulfilled all your orders, because this conversation is directly proportionate to the best deal they can get from the customers. So this metric is very important. Okay, let's move on to two other important metrics, which is on time and in full. If we expand this table to two more columns, two more information, which is agreed delivery date and actual delivery date. So can you now tell me if this order is delivered on time?
Yes, because both the dates are matching.
Perfect. So it's 1. And for the second row, it's 1 as well. For the third row, it's 1 as well. Okay. So how many orders were delivered in full?
Delivered in full 2. We have discussed that, right? Like, so 2 orders.
Actually, it is not 2 orders. Because if you think about orders, this is where most people make mistake. They think about lines here. In full is calculated at order level, not at the line level.
Right? Oh, only one order. Because order 1 was delivered full, but order 2 was not delivered full.
Was not delivered in full.
Good point.
In terms of on-time orders?
On-time orders were 2. Both the orders were delivered on time.
Okay. So this on-time orders, it is used by, can you guess who uses it in the supply chain field? So there are different supply chain departments.
No, I don't know.
Okay. So it is used by warehouse and distribution people. So these are the people who are in charge for delivering the order on time. So all these shipments, all those trucks going on. So this is managed by the warehouse and distribution people. For them, this metric is very important. It's called warehouse and distribution. And this in full is again used by supply managers more at regional level. So they want to see this number at a regional level. Okay. So now we are going to calculate the most important metric, which is on-time in full percentage. In supply chain terms, it is called as OTIF. OTIF is something very, very commonly used metric. And for this, you can see the data is consolidated at the order level, not at the item level. So you see we have 3 lines here, but here we have only 2 lines because it's at the order level. And you can see the values are also consolidated. Here for the second order, the total quantity is 15 and total delivered is 12. You can see the same numbers here, 15 and 12. So at this level, this order is not delivered in full, but it is delivered on time. So now tell me, if this order is delivered both on time and in full?
Yes, it's an AND condition between E and H column.
Yeah, then it's 1. Tell me for this
one is 0. Yeah.
0. So I'll tell you a very interesting point. For one particular order, there might be 200 lines. A customer might place 200 items in one particular order. Let's say they delivered all the 199 items in full, but one line they did not deliver in full. Even they miss one quantity, that order will miss OTIF. It's a very harsh metric. It is super, super harsh. Sometimes the order might have like 200, 300 lines, and even if they miss one line, that order is failed. So that's how it's calculated in supply chain. And so let's calculate the in full percentage. So it's very very easy to calculate. So now we know only one order is delivered in full. So it's nothing but 1 divided by this value, 2 orders. So it's 50%. And here, total on-time orders are 2, and the total orders are 2. So it's 100%. This is super rare in the real supply chain world, but for this example, yes, this is possible. And on time and in full. So this is nothing but how many orders we got both on time and in full? Only 1, right? Out of 2 orders. It's also 50%. So this on time and in full percentage is normally used by supply chain directors or supply chain VPs. So this is the metric that they will focus on. They will not focus on any other metric. So this on time and in full percentage is also called as reliability. Reliability is also a very important term in supply chain. So if somebody is asking what is the reliability, if you say 85%, which means 85% of the times you will deliver the order in full and on time. So the customer will ask you, what is the reliability I can have? If you say 90%, that is really good, which means out of 1,000 orders they place, you are sure to make that 90% of the times, the orders will be always delivered on time and in full. So based on this thing, the service level agreements are made and the contracts are dealt. And even there are a lot of commercials involved in it. All these things are based on this. So this is also the point where the supply chain folks, the sales and marketing folks collaborate. They want this number to be really, really high. Only if this number is high, there is a very high possibility of customer retention. There is a very high possibility of getting better deals and all those stuff.
I always wonder when I order things from Amazon, like how well they take care of this entire supply chain, because they order things from China, and here in my home in US, when I order, things get delivered on a very next day. And
Yeah.
by learning all these domain concepts, now I'm kind of getting better understanding of their inner world.
Yes.
On, companies like Amazon would have very strict
Yes.
rules on metrics like OTIF, and
Yes.
their suppliers will have
Yes.
to have very high, like, a high performance when it comes to OTIF percentage, etc. So I'm
Yes.
really glad that I'm learning this domain concept, because in the world of AI, where technical things are being automated, the knowledge of these domain concepts is something that can set you apart from the competition when it comes to
Yes.
job market and career growth.
Yes, Amazon is a good example. So reliability is one important metric where you always promise to deliver like a perfect order with which is on time, in full, with perfect documentation. But there is also another metric which is like the response cycle time, like when you place the order or the order fulfillment time. So that is something which Amazon worked on. Earlier, it used to be like 3 or 4 days in the e-commerce world. Amazon made it like same day, one day. And now we see hyper deliveries, which is happening in like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and all those things. All this is based on this metric. And so what you spoke about is an example of B2C, where a business is giving directly to the consumer. But this particular concept is mostly tied to B2B, where there is one company which is having a lot of distributors and who are having their consumers, which makes the supply chain even more difficult because they also have their supply chain. They have to maintain their, they have to maintain the promise to their consumers, and it gets very long. And most of the times, this company is also procuring from some places like China. And this is why, right? Like, if you are getting a product in your hand, this mouse, if you're getting it today, it is probably planned like some 300 or 400 days before it comes to your hand. So that's very interesting. That's why I love supply chain. It's a very interesting field.
Many of the people who are watching this video are the customers of things like Blinkit,
Yeah.
Zomato, even Flipkart, and all these companies. Even though it's B2C, internally they also work with their business partners. So now
Yes.
you all are getting some insights into that beautiful world of supply chain.
Great. But supply chain is super vast. If folks you're watching this video, if you're more interested, try to type SCOR score in Google and search for this. It's supply chain operational reference model. It has a lot of interesting concepts. You will definitely like it. Okay. Now let's get back to this quadratic sheet and check the formulas. I would be really surprised if it has calculated all these formulas correctly because we gave no reference, right? Now you know the supply chain concepts. You can also validate this along with me. Let's first check the order lines. So it says calculated from the fact order line. So yeah, total order lines is nothing but the length of order lines. What is order lines? It has calculated it from the order lines. So it has went to this table and it has calculated this, which is correct. This order line table contains all the orders. So it did not take the unique value of the orders. So it knows unique value of orders means total orders. Order lines means it has to take the entire order lines. So it is correct. And let's see total orders. So it says total orders is nothing but length of order aggregate. What is order aggregate? Okay. Oh, that's really good. It's somehow understood. This fact aggregate table contains a consolidated order. If you are wondering, just remember this example, right? These are order lines. Then I consolidated it, right? Two orders. This is the same example here. Here we have all the order lines, and this aggregate is nothing but consolidated orders. So it did a really good job there. I'm quite surprised. And so let's see the line fill rate. So again, it's using the order lines table. And in this, it is calculating where the values in full is equal to 1, which means the orders which are delivered in full, which are delivered in full quantity. And it is dot mean. It means it's a ratio. It's basically dividing that value with the rest of the values, which is correct. So it's taking a ratio of values that has 1 versus the rest of the values, which is 0. So this calculation is also right. And the same thing goes with volume fill rate. That is also correct. So it calculated the total delivery quantity with the order quantity sum. That's perfect. And with the on-time delivery, yes, it has to see on-time and in full and OTIF. All these 3 things has to be calculated at order level. So you see, it uses order aggregate table, which is nothing but the consolidated order level. I'm really surprised that this is able to calculate it so accurately without us giving any external references. This is good.
If you're not using AI tool, you would have spent few hours, and now you did all this work in few minutes. So you can realize the productivity gain here.
Yes. Yeah, but this also reinstates the point that you cannot miss the fundamentals, right? Let's say if you don't know the supply chain concepts, if you don't know the basics of Python, you won't be able to validate this code. You would have given this to another AI to validate, but you don't know even if that is correct. And this will go on and chase them. So you need to know the basics, and you can kind of maximize your productivity. That's how I see using these AI tools.
AI models will hallucinate on occasions, and if you are deploying this code to production or using it to make important decisions, it is important that you know the fundamentals. So you all might have a question: oh, should we learn Python? Should we know data analytics? Should we know domain concepts? Yes, of course you need to know, because you are the one who will validate if AI generated correct output or not. And it will make mistakes, folks. See, right now, it did a good job, but let's say 1 out of 100 times it is making a mistake, then that mistake can cost your company a big money. The company will hire you because you know all these fundamentals, and you can work with AI and you can figure out its mistakes and you can fix it. And you can also guide AI, typing that prompt, and you can guide AI to do the right thing.
Okay, now we have seen how to create these KPIs, right? So next, why don't we ask some business questions and see if it is able to answer it properly?
One thing I'm curious about is if there is a way to track monthly on-time performance.
I mean, yes, I think it should be able to do. But let's see how it is responding, right? I'm just simply going to ask, show me monthly on-time performance by cities. Because if you're a warehouse and distribution manager, you would like to know it by cities. And let me do it in a new sheet. I'm going to call it business questions. You press enter. Okay, it generated a chart. I think that's pretty good. From this, I can easily see how the trend is declining, and it's showing me pretty good, like how I would expect to get created in a Power BI or something. That's good. So maybe I can ask more questions to it. Like I've created a prompt. Let me open it. So I want to ask, like, show me the top 5 customers based on their order value and their on-time percentage, in full percentage, on-time in full percentage. I want to say also add the customer name, customer ID, and city in the table. So let's see what it provides. I'm going to copy this.
And folks, you can mention in a prompt if you want chart or a table.
Can you just read this one more time? Okay, I pasted the prompt here in the chat window. And let's see what happens.
And wherever you have active focus in the sheets here, you have it at row number 26. So I think that is the location where it will insert the new visual.
Yes. Okay, you can see it generated the data here. And it did not generate in the line 826. It generated, somewhere randomly wherever it fell. And so that's good. It just gave me everything what I wanted. It gave me the customer ID. It gave me the customer name, city, total order value, on-time in full percentage, and on-time percentage. So let me quickly check the code. Okay, it's taking the fact summary for this, which is good. So if I quickly skim through this code, it looks good. But if I have to do this for real, I would spend some time with this. I would spend another 10 to 15 minutes in this to check. But At the top level, it looks correct. Yeah, I think that's pretty much good. But as for, here I asked for top 5 customers. It seems all my top 5 customers are in US. So let me copy the same prompt here and see if it is consistent. I'll put it here and say, show me top 5 customers in India. I'll just add one more line here and see what result it provides. I think that's very consistent. It gave pretty much the same results, but with Indian customers. That's good. That's a good summary table.
Yep. Looks amazing. You just type a prompt and it is doing most of the work for you.
I mean, it's amazing, but at the same time, I would say this also reinstates the point to me. The fundamentals are very important. You cannot simply work with a tool like this without knowing the fundamentals of Python coding or knowing about supply chain, not having any domain expertise. It's not going to help. That's why we always stress that having domain knowledge and having the fundamental understanding of this coding really helps a lot. Okay, I'll highly recommend you to practice this along because Quadratic is free. They provide some free AI credits. There is no excuse for you. You need to practice this. And they also promised, the Quadratic team also promised to provide some special discount for the learners of this channel. We are putting that in the description. You can use that and get a special discount if you are taking a pro account. So like I said, please do practice and also know that this is not the end, right? There are a lot more to explore, a lot more to learn. And we are planning to bring more videos of this kind where we are just going to provide a very, unbiased and neutral view of the tools because they are in the evolving space. We just want to break down the hype and show you the reality. And I hope you found this video really useful.
This is the end, and I want to mention a very important thing, which is exercise. In the video description below, when you click to download files, you will find a file called exercise.pdf. Please look into it and work on that exercise. If you have any questions, there is a comment box below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends who are learning analytics and AI.